Welcome back to Escape from Stalingrad Z. Alright, we're getting into the gameplay today. This is our first solo mission. We're going to be doing two of them. We're going to be doing this, which is mission 1, and then we transition, once we escape, and we'll see how that works, into scenario 3, wake up, time to die. So we're going to do them back to back as one continuous series. We have 4 beta zombies in here. We don't really need to mix these up, but I did anyway. You're supposed to for the scenario. And the very first thing you're supposed to do on your turn is roll for initiative. On the very first turn, you can just see it there. So we're going to get out a white blood-splattered die for us, a black die for the zombies. Now, I know there's no zombies on the board, but let's get in the habit of this because we got to do this every start of every turn. And the zombies always have a -4 modifier to their initiative, unless the scenario says otherwise. This one does not, so they get a -4. Let's roll up the dice and see who goes first. If the zombies win initiative, they automatically go first. If we win initiative, we get a choice. We can either let the zombies go first, or we can go first. All right, let's roll up the dice. All right, simple dice roll. 1 white, 1 black, and they're 12-sided. So we get a 6 for the zombie player, an 8 for us, zombie player. This would then be -4, taking them to a 2. We've obviously won initiative. If there is ever a tie, you roll again until there isn't. So we get a choice. We can go first, or the zombies can go first. There are no zombies on the board right now, so let's just go ahead and go first. All right, let's get down to the play area and take our turn. Alright, so if there were zombies on the board, they would go because we are going to decide they go first or they don't. Now, if there are any spawning zombies, I think I misquoted this in the very first episode. If a zombie spawns this turn, they spawn at the end of the zombie activation of the turn, not at the very end of the turn. So, one thing to keep in mind. Alright, we're going to begin here. We're sitting here, and facing matters, like I mentioned. So we're going to start the game on location A, and we are facing this way, which will make a difference. Because when we look at the movement rules, and we're going to run, do we need to run? Yes, we're going to run. So if we're going to run, there's costs for all of the movement. This is our movement table. So to move 1 space forward, running or walking, is 1, or, so there's different movements. So if we want to turn 90 degrees, it costs us 2 movement points when we're running. It only costs 1 when we're walking, open, close door, 2, etc. So I will be, I'll just show you this the one time here, but I'll be using this for our movement rules. It's as simple as that. But it's not so simple because there are things to keep in mind. We are going to be running, so at the end of the turn, I'll explain these dice at the end of our turn. How this works, we want to get adjacent to the objective marker here, so that eventually we can do a search, and if you look at the zombies, they don't actually start appearing till the end of the 4th turn. So we have a bunch of time, search this room, get out the door, and get over maybe to this search location, etc., get off the map. Alright. Here's the deal. We want to move. We have 8 movement points, but we can attack with 8 movement points. We'd have a major disadvantage for attacking. Anyway, we'll get into that when we have zombies on the board. Obviously, we don't. All right, movement. I'm going to first go diagonally here because I'll explain something. So we're moving forward diagonally, which normally costs us. If we go, let's see, open 1 space. Move diagonally forward. So I'll just reference. I'm just not going to show you this. So move diagonally forward 2 movement points, running or walking. However, when you move diagonally, you must look at the 1 to orthogonally on one side and orthogonally other side of the diagonal movement. These are both hindering terrain. When you're moving diagonally, you have to take into account the terrain on either side of the diagonal movement. If there's a red border here, you can't move through it. So if we had 2 red borders here, we couldn't move diagonally. If you have 2 characters here, you cannot move diagonally because you can't move through characters. So, but we can. So we have to choose which one. If this was blank, like no yellow border, it would cost us no extra movement. But we do have hindering terrain on either side. So to go through hindering terrain, you have to pick one of the sides to go through. Costs you +1 movement. That was a long-winded explanation, but that's how it works. So for us to go forward diagonally, it says 2, and we'll choose this one, which is hindering terrain, because you got to go through one of the diagonal spaces, costing us an extra move. So that's 3 movement. We got 5 left. Whew, long-winded. All right, to move forward on when you're running, I believe it's just one. One space forward is just one action point, so there are movement points, so 4. We've used up half of our actions. To turn 90 degrees when you're running costs 2 actions, and I want to do that. So I want to face this way, so that's 6 movement points. We have 2 movement points left, but I want to stay orthogonally adjacent to this objective for our next turn, because if you're diagonally adjacent to the objective, you cannot do a search action, and I want to make sure I'm able to do that because we want to find some stuff if we can. So that's going to end off our turn. Now, because we were running, well, there's something called covering fire. I know I've got a lot to explain. There's covering fire. If you are stationary, which means you're not moving at all, you're covering fire, so you get like an overwatch, would be 0, so no penalty. If you're walking, your covering fire penalty would be 2, so it's an overwatch, but because we were running, our penalty's 4. What that means is if a zombie, say, came into our space and we wanted to hand-to-hand combat him, we would have to add +4 to our attack roll because we were running that turn, if that all makes sense. Okay, enough with that. So that's the end of our... So we said the zombies go first. There aren't any. That was our turn completed. And so now the turn marker moves. Now, if there was a spawn here, we would spawn a zombie on the zombie's turn, but there wasn't. So we go to the next turn. All right, beginning of the next turn, initiative dice again. All right, initiative dice again. I will talk less as we get through the first bunch of moves, because if I explain every little minutia detail here, it'll take 40 minutes just to get through this little thing. All right, so first up, we roll initiative. Of course, there aren't zombies on the board, but we do it anyway. We roll a 9. 7 minus 4 is 3. We get the choice again. We want the zombies to go first? We want us to go first. Again, we'll have the zombies go first. There aren't any on the board, and then we'll just get right into our turn. All right, a little less explaining. So this die will come off because it is our turn now. It's removed. We are adjacent to the objective, and the facing does not matter when you are performing a search action. It takes your entire action, which means you cannot move. And we will get a 0, I believe we'll get a 0 modifier because we're stationary. We're not moving at all. We're just doing a search action. So I guess we're spending our entire amount of time pivoting around, searching through the desk, doing whatever, but our facing will remain the same. And yes, you don't have to be facing the objective to search it. There we go. Explained. So we will be rolling a 12-sided die. Let's take a look at the table and see what we can find. So if we consult the scenario, we have a 1 to 2 will find nothing, a 3 to 6 will find an ammo, 7 to 10 is a food, and 11 to 12 is a med kit. So let's roll up 1 die, and remember we can only search each objective once per the scenario, so if we find nothing, too bad. All right, let's get to the dice tray, roll it up. You know how I roll dice, so let's see what I get. All right, let's roll up a die. We don't want to see a 1 or 2. We get an 11. Ooh, nice. And an 11 is going to score us a med kit. Med kits are good for healing hit points. So we're going to grab a med kit and put it in our slot. All right, that was pretty good luck. And we'll put our med kit here. We have a maximum of 3. So on these tokens, on one side is a 1, on the other side is a ×2. So we can carry a total of 3 med kits. We've got 1. That's awesome. Love it. All right, that will be, again, the end of a turn, so let's get into another one. All right, well, that's the whole end of a turn, so we are ticking away. So as you can see, we're getting very much closer to spawning some zombies on the board, and they're going to spawn right here. We want to kind of get out of here, and yes, we've successfully, or success or not, this goes away. We are finished with that objective. We can't search there anymore, and the die would also go away. Okay, we got to roll initiative dice. I want to get in the habit of doing it. I know we don't need to do it because there's no zombies, but let's do it anyway just to keep track of what we're doing here. All right, let's roll up initiative once again. And, oops, I knocked it. That was a 6. Anyway, it won't matter because here we go. So 12 minus 4 is an 8. We got a 6. So actually, in this instance, the zombies are going first. We have no choice in the matter. Now, luckily, we don't have zombies on the board, but they will go first this turn. Alright, so if there were any zombies on the board, they would use their movement rules and whatever to try to get to us. But there aren't any, so their turn is basically over. We take a look under here. There's no S here. There would be no spawning. If we were sitting on the S location right here, we would be spawning a zombie here on their turn. So you can see how the turn order could make a difference because, for instance, if we were on the spawn location, if a zombie spawned here, then we could probably open the door and take a shot at it or whatever. We can't. All right. So that's the zombie. They have gone, and now it is our turn. I am going to run again this time, so we're going to have the 0 modifier, but we won't get attacked because there's no zombies on the board. All right, we have 8 movement points, and something that is not easy to find in the book, but I found it because it's going to make a difference. Currently, we have only our hands to fight with, and that's really not a great thing to have. However, let's take a look on page 43 of the rule book. Right at the bottom here, it says, club. By spending 3 movement points in or adjacent to any hindering terrain, a character may pick up a club. Oh yeah. So, we are going to do that. We have 8 movement points. We're going to spend 3 of them. And where is my handy dandy club? So we basically rip some boards off of here. You can see there's 2x4s, and we find a nice club there. And it's got 1 attack per activation. You stun a zombie on a 4, kill it on a 4+, kill it on an 8+. And it's a H, which is a hand-to-hand, and 1 is the range. That's all we can do. And the upper right for every weapon is just the hand-to-hand stats. This, of course, is just a hand-to-hand weapon, so they've reprinted the 2 stats on both. All right, let's put this into... Oh, and when you collect any items or weapons or med kits or ammos or whatever, you get to, for free, put them where you want. So let's go ahead and arm ourselves with this club. So what I meant by that is, say we had something in here like a knife or something, we could put the club in our backpack. We have 1, 2, 3, 4 spots for that. This is only for grenades. You can have 3 maximum. So if say there was a knife there, we could take the knife out of there, put the club in there. You can rearrange anything when you pick up a weapon. So yes, club is printed default on the board, but now we actually have a club, so I'm going to ready it in case we run into any zombies. We can beat them over the head with our nice, lovely club. Okay, we have 5 movement points left. Let's continue. All right, with 5 action points left, we are going to move forward for 1. We have 4 action points left. And when we are running, and this is a little bit different than walking, so open and close door. If you're moving normally, it costs you 1 action point. If you're running, it costs you 2 action points. So we use 3 to pick up a club, 4 to move 1 forward. We have to use 2 now to open this door. We open the door, it's out of here, and now we have 2 movements left, so we'll just go 1 to here, and that's it. So that will be the total end of that turn completely. So there's no zombie spawning. Boom. Next time there will be. Okay, let's do 1 more turn here. And I want to try to get up to that next objective. So let's roll up our initiative once again. This time it will make a little bit of a difference because if the zombies go first, they will actually spawn right beside us. They'll come through that doorway. And I'll explain how all this works. So let's roll up our initiative and see what we get. Wow, okay, we get a 4 for us. They are -4 down to a 6, so they actually go first. All right, let's figure this out. All right, so because it's the zombies' turn, there are no zombies on the board. So during the zombies' turn, they'll move and or attack you if they can, etc. There aren't any on the board. However, during the zombie turn, you can see here we have an S. We're going to be spawning zombies on the S. And I will just show you here. So the zombies are going first. So it says during the zombie turn, zombies are spawned. So right now is the zombie turn, then it will be our turn. So we're going to spawn. So we just take randomly one of these. Now these are all the same, so it really doesn't matter in this scenario, but other scenarios you'll have different zombies that you can pick. All right, let's pick this one. Now, it would spawn right here. And it would not matter which way we were facing, because facing really only has to do with movement, and it has to do with using weapons to attack enemies. It does not have to do with line of sight. So basically, if we were facing this way, behind us, we would hear, the zombie, and it would be revealed, because they're revealed for line of fire, not line of sight, if you want to call it that. So we're facing this way. A zombie spawns here. It's the end of the zombie turn. We can definitely see it. Yellow terrain, remember, does not block line of sight. The only thing that blocks line of sight is figures don't block your line of fire, they call it. Figures don't block it. Yellow hindering terrain does not block it. Walls block it. And red bordered terrain blocks it. Everything else does not. Figures do not. Hindering terrain does not. All right, so yes, we do see it, and boom, it is revealed to be a beta zombie. What a surprise. So we're going to put that down here, because if we ever get to the end of this turn and we have to wrap around again, we'll take all of the discarded zombies here, shuffle them back in here, and put the... But he's basically on the board, so you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to leave him here, and we're going to find the miniature that kind of corresponds to that zombie type, and boom, we have a beta zombie has appeared. Now that's all it does. It spawns, because that's the end of the zombie turn. It's not going to move or attack or do anything. Boom, and now it's our turn, and we could try to attack it, but the only problem is our club has a range of 1, and diagonal is a range of 2. So we'd actually have to move down here to attack them. And then, but I want to get moving and get up to this other objective marker. So let's run. And I should say, if you start your turn adjacent, any way adjacent to a zombie that is not locked with you, which means you're locked in hand-to-hand combat with it, you are free to move away from the zombie. All right, and we're going to do that. We're going to run, because I want to run up here as quickly as I can. Let's zoom down, and we have 8 movement points to run. All right, and I want to try to get up here as quickly as I can. Of course, I have a door in the way, but we can go around it, but we'll see. Okay, so to turn 90 degrees our facing while we're running is 2 action points. We're going to start by doing that. And once again, we apply the rule. We're going to go diagonally. Going diagonally is 2, but we have to choose which one of these diagonal squares we're going past we're going to interact with. If we go through the fire, we take a wound. Not a great idea. If we go through the hindering terrain, it costs us 1 extra movement. Obviously, that's what we're going to do. So we're facing this way, so we're going forward diagonally. So it would normally be 2 plus 1 for the hindering terrain is 3. We've used 5 of our 8 movement points for running, and then 1 to go forward is 6, and then we will go diagonal. Of course, we'll take the blank. We won't take the hindering terrain. 1 diagonal forward is another 2. That is our 8 total movement, and because we were running, we have an overwatch of 4. We'd have to roll +4 to attack. Say a zombie got right in front of our face, and we could attack it, because we have not attacked this turn. So basically, you could interrupt your movement as well and attack. So you could move 1, attack, and then move again. Like you can split up movement through actions, except when you're doing a search for an objective. That takes up everything, and you cannot move, if I'm explaining that properly. That is going to be the end of the turn. So the zombie spawned on the zombie turn, and boom, we're going over here. Oh, and I should say, this track here, once this marker wraps around here, you cannot get experience for killing zombies anymore, even if they're on the board. I think I sort of didn't state that properly in the opening episode as well. So here's where we're going to leave it off. So I'm going to back out a little bit. We're going to wrap it up for today. All right, well, that's going to wrap us up for today. I did a lot of talking, a lot of explaining. I'll probably do less of that in the following episodes. I just wanted to make sure everything was as clear as possible for movement rules, zombie spawn, etc., etc. Rolling for initiative, this die for that. Anyway, our exit is right here. This is a very opening scenario. We're probably not going to do any combat, because we want to get away from the zombies and get on to the next mission, which is scenario 3, wake up, time to die. Anyway, thanks so much for watching along. Thanks for your comments, descriptions, and likes. This is Escape from Stalingrad Z. We're starting right off with 1 player. It's a 1-player scenario, scenario 1. We're trying to grab some equipment, or carrots, beets, I guess they are, food, ammo, and or medkit. We found a medkit. That's pretty cool. All right, thanks so much. Appreciate watching along. Helps out my channel quite a bit. And we'll see you tomorrow for the continuation, Escape from Stalingrad Z. We're doing Frukbar, which is the very opening scenario. All right, thanks so much, and hope to see you tomorrow.